Hey you guys, and welcome back to the Prime Vanguard channel. So today I'm introducing to you another deck profile after a brush with Legends, and that is going to be my Baromagnes deck profile. Now Baromagnes has never been featured on this channel before, so it'll be really new and exciting card to showcase for you guys and see my take on the deck. I will say that of all the decks, and just me being completely honest, Baromagnes is a deck that I didn't really enjoy too much playing because the playstyle is very straightforward, it's very simplistic, and the deck doesn't really have too much space for variety because you want to achieve a certain goal, and that's that, and that's that 15 card soul for the deck. But even with, trying to play the main goal and trying to get to that 15 card soul, I found a few space in the deck for innovation and just trying to be as unique as I possibly can. I'm going to go ahead and showcase you guys now some of the unique changes and aspects of the deck that I personally added to make the deck a lot more to my playstyle. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out what Baromagnes has for us today. Okay, you guys, so to get started off with this profile, I'll be showing the ride deck for Baromagnes. I am playing his ride lineup. Baromagnes, with the way that Vanguard is going, you want to make sure that you can soul charge as many cards as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can. So this ride lineup just makes the most sense. For the main deck, I'm playing 3 copies of Master of Gravity Baromagnes. Master of Gravity Baromagnes, although I do not enjoy this deck as much as I do other decks, you still want to be able to make sure that you can obviously get your Persona rides, the benefits of that. You want to be able to re-ride this card, so if you need to, you can get that 1 card additional for your soul to get to the 15. And all his other abilities just over time act really, really amazing. I will say that this card is extremely powerful. I just do not like the support around the card because of just how the entire deck has to play. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of variety and mixing up of cards or combinations of everything else. But I will say that the one thing I really do like about this card is the fact that it does get over any resist card that will exist into the game, because you have to move everything into the soul and call it to a new card. So essentially you can get additional 2 more attacks, you can get an additional of a really strong column. And I am playing a tech in the deck to actually make sure that I am getting like the best benefit that I can out of this card for playing the deck. So therefore I'm really, really excited. So therefore I am happy with how I made my Baromagnes deck, but other than that, Baromagnes is still a really cool card, just not for me. Moving on for my next grade 3, I play 4 copies of Phantasm Magician Curtis. Curtis is still one of the best supporting Baromagnes cards. You want to make sure you're playing 4 of this to generate the additional soul. The plus 5,000 power to the front row is really good as well. Just, you are not going to be able to get it all the time because it is a counterblast of 2, but it does make sure that all of the rear guards that you have are getting the additional power so that they become threatening, because one of the main weaknesses of this deck is that a lot of our rear guards assist with our resource management in getting all the soul that we need to activate Baromagnes for his counterblast. But unfortunately, a lot of those cards don't have abilities that power themselves up to make themselves stronger. So not all the time will you be able to get the best attacks, and your rear guard columns aren't going to be the best. But Curtis, on the rare occasion that we do get to use it, does become extremely helpful in that scenario. For my last grade 3, I'm playing 2 copies of the Supernatural Extraction Order card. This order card is one of the main ways that you boost your soul into the deck. It also offers great utility, as soul charging as much as we are in the deck, we are going to get some cards that we want to see maybe earlier or later in the phase of the game, because it is a grade 3 card, to add to our hand. And it's not so much a minus because you're going to call something that's going to give you a soul charge back, and you get to pick any card you want from the soul as long as you have 10 or more, but that's not a difficult feat to reach for this deck at all. Electro Spartan's rearguard ability is very simplistic and very helpful to the deck. It's an on-place soul charge 2 for a counterblast of 1. I do see this card being the most flexible in the deck. You only play this card because I'm just trying to reach that 15k soul as fat. I'm only playing this card because I'm trying to reach the 15,000 power into the soul as fast as possible. When we get a card in the deck that can do this more consistently and just better without the demanding of more counterblast from us, then I probably will replace this card with something else. But for now, he's just good generic support for the deck. For my next grade 2, I play 4 copies of Selfish Engraver. Now, Selfish Engraver, she's a really good support card for the deck. Really the only resource management card that this deck has. She's an on-hit, move it into the soul and get a counter charge, and then if she were to hit something, she gets to soul charge 1. So this card overall is just really amazing for the deck. It's the best resource management card that you have because we do counterblast a lot for this deck, and a lot of our best abilities cost a counterblast, and even some of our resource management skills like Electro Spartan cost a counterblast. So we want some form of resource management in the deck that will allow us to countercharge. For my last grade 2, I'm playing 4 copies of Crimson Expeller. Crimson Expeller is one of the best pressure cards into the deck. He doesn't do much as rear guard, but his ability to allow him to soul charge you 1 and then give 10,000 power to something, as well as being active anytime on the rear guard as well for the soul charge, is extremely helpful. This card becomes viable within your soul on your rear guard, and having the ability to get this card out with your supernatural extraction anytime for more offensive pressure is really helpful as well. It does suck that unfortunately we don't have any cards that let you soul charge from the drop zone. I think that there'd be something cool and unique for Dark States to have so that we can reuse this card over and over again. Essentially, this card will help you with your pressure, and that's something that I really am glad that this deck has, because as I stated before, your rear guards aren't the strongest, as you've seen with Spartan and Engraver. They don't have any power-up abilities, so you're going to need a booster, or you're going to need triggers or other effects to make your rear guard attacks a lot more threatening. Otherwise, you're just putting a lot more pressure on Baromagnes to get the job done. Moving on to my grade 1s, my order card is Brother's Soul. This is a free soul charge 2 of the deck. It's in the form of grade 1, which means that you can activate this card just the 3 turns over to get yourself a soul charge of 6 if you get lucky enough to see all of them early in the game. And being able to do that helps you generate your soul a lot faster on top of the ride chain that you already play for the deck. And this being a grade 1 just makes that all the much faster. For my next grade 1 is a grade 1 I'm actually excited to showcase for this deck. It's 1 copy of Direful Doll Simone. Now, you guys are probably wondering, why am I playing this card? Why am I playing it at 1, or why am I playing it at all? So, the reason why I'm playing this card, Direful Doll Simone, is really simple. I like it. Okay, I really do like the artwork of this card. I like the way it looks. I like the color palette. I like the skill. Actually, I've liked the skill since the beginning. I just didn't think that it had any space in Baromagnes, because in the Baromagnes deck, you want to put all of your cards in getting that 15k soul into getting that 15 card soul as fast as possible, so that this way the deck can keep up with other decks. A lot of decks in this set, which was honestly just support, a lot of decks in this set got a lot of main deck support that make them a lot faster. And the rear guards that you play in this deck unfortunately don't have any power-up abilities and just focus on the resource management or gaining you soul. There's nothing offensive or scary about this deck other than Baromagnes himself, in my opinion, and your over trigger. That's just my honest opinion. You have rear guards, which is the next one I'm going to showcase to you, that gets a huge power up, but other than that card, there's nothing else in this deck that, offensively speaking, and I really want to emphasize this, besides Baromagnes and then Deep Soniker, which is the card I'm going to showcase to you next, so spoiler alert for that, that give you any sort of offensive pressure. Your over trigger, this card helps. For my next grade 1, I play 2 copies of Deep Soniker. Deep Soniker is a really good card, the right chain of the deck. I like this card because, as I was stating on Simone, this is one of the cards that you play in the deck that actually get power for you having cards in the soul. It becomes an 18k attacker or an 18k booster as long as you have 10 or more cards in the soul, but that's not a hard feat to reach for this deck at all. You can throw this card behind Simone, or you can throw this card as a booster for any of your other cards. It can essentially become whatever you need to. And I would play more, but I took out 1 so that I could play 1 copy of this. But then I thought about it. I was like, I play this card in the right chain. I put 2 into the deck, so I'm essentially playing 3. So it's not like I'm never going to see this card, but just main decking this card alone means that I can potentially see it during any period of the game that I want to, earlier than the Baromagnes turn for the Superior Calling. For the last of my grade 1s, I play 4 copies of Recusal Hate Dragon. This is the Dark State Sentinel, essential to have. Now, moving on to my triggers, I play 1 copy of Gallmagheld. Gallmagheld is extremely helpful for this deck. It adds to the pressure. Throughout the entire fight effect is really amazing, because that means on your Persona ride turns, it's got a whole lot scarier. and seeing this card during the battle phase is really amazing. It sucks when you soul charge into the deck, or it sucks when you pull it for damage, but when you get it on an offensive turn of the game, or when you see it as maybe grade 1 drive check, you feel so happy to see this card. And for the rest of the deck, I play 3 front triggers, Diabolos Girls, Natalie. I wanted to play, originally when I was building the deck, I wanted to play 4, but then I thought about it and I had to take my own advice, which was that the deck needs more offensive pressure. And when that's the case, criticals are just the best way to go when it comes to applying pressure and just being more offensive. The front trigger is nice, and I really just wanted that extra 5k shield, but I'd rather play a deck that has more offensive capabilities than but I'd rather play a deck that just has more offensive capabilities, so therefore the 8 critical was just the best way to go for me. Alright, so I play 4 copies of Flinty Slasher, 4 copies of Diabolos Girl Maimai, and then I play 4 copies of Steam Scara Mal-Nigal for my heal trigger. Alright you guys, so that is it for today's deck profile. Thank you so much for joining me and watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. It really does help the channel. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys are notified about all my new posts. Don't forget to share this video with your friends if they're thinking about looking for a Baromagnes deck to build. My deck is just a template based off my own feelings and experiences while playing the deck. Obviously, you can make whatever changes you want. I just want to use this. You can just go ahead and use this deck as inspiration. But that is all for today's video, guys. Stay tuned for what else I got coming up, and peace.